welcome to yet another fascinating edition of the program CAC Weekly, a weekly program that keeps you abreast on the activities and the achievement of the Corporate Affairs Commission. I am Amina Jibril. Coming up on the program, CAC emerges as the winner of the 2022 NASME Awards for Excellence in Corporate Governance and Regulation. Also, CAC reform initiatives as turns Nigerians abroad. Plus, one-man company gets highlighted. But we'll be right back after this break. Do stay with us.
For the first time, businesses and regulatory authorities had common platform within which to discuss and resolve challenges. It's like a patient going to the hospital. If you have one condition, if you go to a tertiary clinic, you have all the professionals that will attend to you. So if something is not relevant to the first person you are seeing, you will refer you to. So that was the whole essence, and it has achieved a lot. We've never had it so good in relation to resolution of complaints that pertains to businesses, particularly small businesses, because they are the major focus. Big businesses have the resources to hire all classes of professionals. But a small entrepreneur that may not even have enough capital to run the business, when he's stocked with his tax matters, when he's stocked with his registration matters, when he's stocked with regulatory approvals such as NAFDAC or standard organization, he may not be able to leave his comfort zone. Maybe he's in a remote area in Bauchi. To travel to even the state capital may be an issue, especially where some of the regulatory agencies may not even be in Bauchi.
Now, welcome back to the program CAC Weekly, where we shall begin with the cheering news of the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, emerging as the winner of this year's NASME Awards for Excellence in Corporate Governance and Regulation. Now, the CAC added another feather to its cap during the Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, NASME's 25th anniversary lecture and award night held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Presenting the award to the CAC, the NASME President, Engineer Dr. Abdulrasheed Yerima, applauded the CAC's support towards promoting the growth of MSMEs in the country. He therefore solicited the Commission's continued collaboration with NASME for the growth of the economy. Receiving the award, the Registrar General and CEO of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, thanked the NASME for recognizing the Commission's contribution towards promoting MSMEs' development in the country. Represented by Duke Ukaga, Director, Public Affairs, the Registrar General pledged continued support and collaboration with the association to further grow the MSME sector in the country. Now, CAC Weekly reports that other awardees at the event included the Development Bank of Nigeria, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, SMEDAN, and the Raw Material Research and Development Council, amongst others. We say congratulations and kudos to the hard-working staff and management of the Commission under the able leadership of Alhaji Garba Abubakar. Now, moving on the program, the enormous successes recorded by the reform initiatives of the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, under the able leadership of Alhaji Garba Abubakar once again came under the spotlight during the just concluded 5th Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit. The hybrid summit, themed Optimizing Investment Opportunities for National Development, held on November 15th to 17th, 2022, and attracted participants from various sectors of the economy, which included healthcare, education, agribusiness, telecoms, oil and gas, ICT, fintech, and manufacturing, amongst others. Now, during the event, the Registrar General and CEO of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, highlighted some of the ongoing reforms of the Commission, which he said were in tandem with the theme of the event, as over 20 million Nigerians in the diaspora now have the opportunity to register their businesses seamlessly across the globe. represented by Jummai Usman Musa of Intergovernmental Unit, who received the NIDCOM chairman and her team at the CAC Pavilion. The CAC scribe revealed that the commission would soon unveil new frameworks for the benefits of customers and the public. Now, Alhaji Garba Abubakar maintained that the commission would continue to partner with the Diaspora Commission as well as operate in accordance with the global best practices. Earlier, the NIDCOM chairman and CEO, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, stressed in her opening remarks that the summit was to provide a platform where diaspora investors can interact with potential sponsors, partners, collaborators, and government officials. During the event, Abubakar Bala of the Customer Services Department and Zainab Aliyu of the Information, Communication and Technology Department entertained inquiries and offered on-the-spot registration services. The 5th Diaspora Investment Summit was rounded up with a closing plenary and a gala night. From that now, we move on to the training and retraining of staff. Uncountable scholars have argued rightly that employees are the greatest assets of any organization, and therefore investing in their training and development is key to sustaining organizational growth and successes. Some of the benefits attached to training are that it, amongst others, helps retain employees, develop future leaders, empower employees, boost workplace engagement, and build workplace relationships. Against this backdrop, the Registrar General and CEO of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, during the 2022 Management Retreat held in Kano on July 29th to 30th, 2022, gave a commitment to surpass the 583 number of staff trained in 2021 and train 700 or more staff by the end of 2022. Now, the Commission has met that goal thanks to the Almighty's special grace, as a variety of trainings have been held for staff across the country. Some of the newest training programs held in the last 2 weeks included the training titled Public Procurement Act 2007, the introduction of frameworks in Calabar, Cross River State, reorientation, driver improvement training, and capacity development training for strategic customer service management in Kefi. Now, CAC Weekly reports that these trainings were expected to round out the series of trainings in line with the Registrar General's commitment to invest heavily in staff training and development. We now shift gears and take a look at the one-man company as provided by the Reenacted Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2022, alias the Game Changer. The one-man company, or the one-person company, depending on your preference, is often defined as a company that has only one person as its member. Furthermore, members of a company are nothing but subscribers to its memorandum of association or its shareholders. So, an OMC is effectively a company that has only one shareholder as its member. Such companies are generally created when there is only one founder or promoter for the business. Entrepreneurs whose businesses lie in early stages prefer to create OPCs instead of sole proprietorship business because of the several advantages that OMCs offer. Now, CAC Weekly caught up with Adeola Tolulokpe Shonaike, the Assistant Director, Registrar General's Office, who x-rays the one-man company. Enjoy watching this interview with him.
Mr. Tolulokpe Adeola Shonaike, good to have you on the program again.
Thank you very much, Madina.
It's been a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been a while. It's good to be back on the program.
Yeah, right. Let's go to one of the injections or the reforms of the CAMA 2020, and that's the single shareholder company or the small company. But for the average Nigerian on the street, you know, when you say single company or one-man company, it's already understood. You say, now me and my company, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So help us understand that concept.
Oh, okay. Before CAMA, the Companies Act 2020, the requirement for incorporation of company is that you must have at least 2 shareholders. But now, under the new law, the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, one man can form and incorporate a company.
Okay.
So today you can have a single shareholder company. So you don't have to have another person join you to form your company or to run your company.
Okay.
That is what the single shareholder
So it's the same slogan where they say one man, one vote.
Well,
One man, one vote. One man, one company.
yeah, well, as it were,
Yeah,
yes, you can say that.
Okay.
You can say that.
Okay.
But the fact that one man can start a company does not limit the potentials for that company. It can be a big company, it can be a small company.
Okay, we'll come into that.
Okay.
But what are some of the objectives? What is the thinking behind a one-man company?
Yeah, the main objectives of this one-man single shareholder company is inclusiveness. To bring entrepreneurs that would ordinarily love to go about their business alone, to bring them into the more formal sector, to allow them to operate in that space. And post-incorporation, it also eases compliance obligations, makes it easy for you to comply with the requirements of the law, because with incorporation comes certain statutory obligations that your company must perform. They are under law, compelled to do that, failing which there are sanctions. So if you don't do them, if you default in their compliance, there will be sanctions. Now, both at entry, that is before you start your business, how to come into the space. Now, the concept of the single shareholder company, together with its attributes, right, reduces the entry threshold. Before now, like I said earlier, under 1990, if you must operate as a company, you cannot do it alone. You must find some other person to be a co-shareholder. Now, in some cases, quite a lot of cases from our experience, some people who don't want to do their business, get into bed with other people, are forced to do that, simply to comply with the requirements of the law. And along the line, issues will arise between them and that other person. The person may not share your vision, the person may not share your culture, your ethics may not share. There may be so many things that will be wrong with you and that other person that eventually will become a problem for the growth of that company. Now, by introducing the single shareholder company, such issues are avoided, and you can do your business as a single entrepreneur, right? And then when you are in again, because the idea is not just to bring you into the business space, it's also to facilitate your growth, whether as a single shareholder company or otherwise. So for the single shareholder companies, particularly if they are small, there are some forbearances that the law introduced, special dispensations. We'll also get to that, right?
Yeah, that brings me to the next question. Yeah. What is the difference between a single shareholder company and those who register as ventures before now?
Ventures, by ventures, I suppose you mean business names.
Yes.
Right. Now, for the business names, we know that in law, it is just a license and a style to trade. It is not different from the promoters, the proprietor, if it's a single person, right? In other words, your liabilities are not limited. That is a main feature of incorporation. When you incorporate a business, it creates a legal entity different from its promoters, different from its shareholders. So it's a company that is trading. It is not the persons behind the company. So all your actions, all your remedies will only be against the company, except in certain circumstances where you can impute fraud or deliberate actions, causing some harm by the promoters. Then you can talk about lifting the veil of incorporation. Now, but in the case of a business name, there's no difference between those that are promoting the business name and the business name itself. So your action will always be against that person, trading under the name and style of that business name. So the main difference is that for companies, strictly speaking, there is another body, a person that is created in law, distinct from its promoters. It is that person that the law knows. It is that person that acquires property. It's that person that does whatever it needs to do, that commits to any contract, not the persons behind them. Even though part of the organs, one of the two organs will be the directors who run the company, and then you have the other organ as members at general meeting. But these features do not avail a business name. A business name is same and one with the persons behind them.
Okay. For somebody listening to you and say these people are just blowing grammar, a business name, a single shareholder. But let's paint us a scenario or give us an idea of how a single shareholder company is being run.
Okay. First, the formation. Let us see, how do you even register?
Yeah.
There are conditions that must be satisfied. You know, the law says that 2 or more persons can come together to form a company. But it now made an exception and said, in the case of a private company, 1 person can form and incorporate a company. So the first thing the first feature is that for you to be a single shareholder company, you must be a private company. In other words, public companies cannot be registered with 1 shareholder.
Okay.
So it must be a private company.
Okay.
And then,
So I want to register. I will start with Medina and Co. No, or Medina Limited. No, I can't. How do I
yes,
register?
Medina Limited.
Okay.
I mean, when you have Medina Limited, it's different from Medina PLC.
Okay. Or Medina and
If
Co.
you are a private company,
Yeah.
right, you must end with LTD or limited
Yeah.
in full. But if you are a public company, you must end with either PLC or public limited company.
Okay.
So when you see whether Medina and Co Limited, Medina Limited, Medina Nigeria Limited, that's a private company. Right?
But if I'm a single company, it will just be Medina company.
No, it will still end with the limited LTD. Because you are a company, it must end with
Okay.
LTD.
Okay.
That is a
limited by
yes,
shares.
once you are incorporated, it must end with either LTD, which is for a private company, PLC for a public company, GTE for a company limited by guarantee, and UNLTD for an unlimited company.
Okay.
So once you are a company, you must end with it must be one of these forms.
Okay.
Right? And your name must end with any of these abbreviations or their full forms.
Okay.
Right? Now, you can also now register as a single shareholder company if you're a company limited by guarantee. The law is clear about that. As Section 118 forbids it for a company limited by guarantee to have less than 1 member. I mean, less than 2 members. So, at the point of forming the company and incorporating it, you must understand this too, that if you want to run a single shareholder company, you can only run it as a private company. And you cannot run it as a company limited by guarantee.
Okay.
Now, another thing that would avail the single shareholder company is that the single shareholder company, if it is a small company, because it can also be a big company, will come to
yes.
the features of what consists of a small company.
Company and a big company.
Right. Now, if that single shareholder company is a small company, it can also have 1 director. But if it is not a small company, it must have at least 2 directors.
Okay.
That is at the point of formation. Then when you are in the space, you are running your business. Of course, like I said earlier, you have compliance obligations, statutory obligations. You must fulfill these obligations, right? Now, some of these obligations are waived. In the case of single shareholder company, private companies, or small companies, right? Now, the first of them is that if you are a small company, you don't need to appoint a company secretary, right?
So that saves you cost, operational cost.
Right. We call them governance costs, right? So, because that is also part of the reason why the law was reviewed in the first place, to reduce costs, both at entry and post-entry.
Okay, so I'm the MD, I'm the secretary, I'm the receptionist, I'm everything.
Well, now you're talking about the structure, operational structure, not necessarily so. Not necessarily so, right? You can have a single shareholder start a company and he's not the director. Some other person may be director. It doesn't have to be the director. You don't have to be a member and a director. And you don't have to be a director and a member, except your articles of association requires that for you to be a shareholder, you must be a director. Right? Or that every director must have a minimum shareholding. In that case, because there is a share qualification requirement for directors, then the directors must also be shareholders. But failing that, you don't have to be a shareholder if you're a director, and you don't have to be a director if you're a shareholder. So you can have a single shareholder company that is incorporated by Medina, and then you have the director as Tolu. You can even have 2, 3, 4, 5 directors. Right? It doesn't have to be 1. Okay. So, but you don't have to have a company secretary. The thinking behind it is that the single shareholder company, it is presupposed that you are starting small. Right? And then your scale of operations at that time is very, very small. It's low.
What would be the amount, the starting point?
For all companies anyway, the minimum requirement for share capital is 100,000 naira for private companies. Right? And 2 million naira for public companies. But now we're talking about private companies. So in any event, you must come in with a share capital of 100,000 naira. Of course, the law does not say it must be paid up, but I expect that when you are coming into business, you are coming again with some capital to start with. So you are starting small, and we're hoping that you test the waters and you grow.
So as you grow.
Yes, as you grow, of course, you also expand your operations. And the application, the requirements of the law, interestingly, this under 2020, the obligations are scalable to size, to operations.
Okay.
So you find that the requirements for small companies or private companies are not the same with requirements for public companies. Even within the private company spectrum, you have the small and the big, right? What the law requires of the small is different from what the law requires of the big.
Yes.
Right. So if you are a small company also, a single shareholder company, you don't need to hold what you call the annual general meeting.
Oh, yes.
And that is understandable. I mean, you and you. Meetings, the company meetings are meetings of the owners, the shareholders. So if you are just one person, you can't be meeting yourself.
You're only meeting with yourself every day, so you don't need the annual general meeting.
And then you also do not have the obligation to keep minute books. You can keep your records of your decisions, of your operations and all that, but you don't have to be structured like minute books.
Okay.
Right? And there's also no obligation upon you, if you're a small company, to appoint auditors or to submit audited statements of account at the end of the year. Right? So those are the special dispensations for single shareholder companies.
Or some of the benefits.
And yes, the benefits for single shareholder company, particularly if you are a small company.
Okay.
So we're talking about the small company, right?
Yes,
what constitutes a small company?
Yes, what constitutes a small company?
There are about 5 conditions that must be met.
Okay.
If any one of them is failing, then that company can no longer be classified as a small company.
Okay, so
the first of them is what we said earlier, it must be a private company.
Okay.
Then 2, it must not have foreign participation. By that, we mean you must not have a foreigner as a shareholder.
Okay.
Now,
Why?
because if you have a foreigner as a shareholder, there is what you call a share capital requirement for foreign companies, for foreign participation in companies. That is regulated by the NIPC Act.
Okay, interesting.
Right.
And now, so let's go to the features of a single shareholder company. What makes it different from a big company? It still carries limited liability, isn't it, at the end? Yes. So.
Well, that's the point we need to make. A single shareholder company does not necessarily have to be a small company.
Okay.
It can be a big company.
But it's a
the
single
only thing it cannot be is a public company.
But you said it can't exceed 25 million now.
If you are a small one.
Yes.
But it can be a big one.
Okay. So at what stage can you transform to be a big one?
Once you don't satisfy all of these 6 conditions, you are not a small company.
Okay. So automatically?
Automatically. It's a requirement of law. So once you have foreign participation, you are no longer a small company.
Okay.
Once you have government participation, you are no longer a small company.
Okay.
Once you are, of course, you are not a private company, you are no longer a small company.
Okay.
Once
so once these 5 conditions,
6, in fact, once any of them is missing,
okay,
then you cannot be classified as a small company.
What about those who are into partnership, those who run before the CAMA 2020 and say, I don't like my partner, he doesn't think the way I think, he doesn't share my ideas and all of that, and I want to migrate or transform into a smaller company?
Oh, you want to reduce you want to change your status?
My status.
To a single shareholder company where you already
have a company with Mr. Tolulakwe, and I feel Mr. Tolulakwe is not a media guru, and I just,
then you just want to remove me and all of that.
I don't want to remove you, Jaja.
Unfortunately, the law does not contemplate that. The law did not contemplate, CAMA 2020 did not contemplate it.
Okay.
In fact, CAMA 2020 specifically says that where you have your membership 2 or more, you shouldn't reduce it below that 2. That if you try to reduce it below 2, it is a ground for your winding up.
I'm afraid we just have to leave it here.
Yes.
The customer dada, it's good to have you again.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Tolulakwe Adeola Shonaike.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure too.
All right.
And that does it for this week's edition of the program CAC Weekly. We do hope you enjoyed yourself watching the program. Remember, for inquiries and comment, you can please take advantage of our social media handles and our helplines. On Instagram and Facebook, it is Corporate Affairs Commission. On Twitter, it is at CAC Nigeria 1. Our email is cservice@cac.gov.ng. You could visit our website at www.cac.gov.ng. And our helplines are on the numbers 081-822-99016 or 081-822-98971, 090-874-01598 or 090-874-01599 and 090-874-01600. Do join us next week for yet another interesting edition of the program, same time and same station. From me, Amina Jabril, and the whole team here, it is bye for now.